Court sentences Doyin Okupe to 2 years in prison over money laundering. INEC boast of Beaver's credibility tells politicians buying PVCs won't work to rig 2023 elections. Keep your hands off Kogi affairs. Abubakar questions EFCC's right to probe state's finances. Also tonight on Politics HQ, South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa re-elected as ANC President. Ghana suspends payment of a selected foreign debt, including Eurobonds. Welcome to Politics HQ. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Tonight, Kola Ologbondiyan, spokesperson Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Organization, will be speaking with me, and Chima Naji, legal practitioner, will be speaking also on the coming elections in Nigeria. Stay with us.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
Well, the People's Democratic Party is attempting a return to the presidency as it hopes to be third time lucky. The APC attained power in 2015 and won the re-election in 2019, with President Muhammadu Buhari getting a second term in office. Now, with just over 5 months to the expiration of Buhari's tenure and just over 2 months to the presidential election, the PDP hopes it can get back to power. Now, the party's candidate, Atiku Abubakar, a presidential candidate of many elections and former Nigerian vice president, was the party's flag bearer in 2019. In next year's election, he's also leading the charge for the main opposition as its candidate against some of his friends and even his running mate 4 years ago. There's a lot to unpack from Atiku's desire for Nigeria's biggest stool, 30 years since he attempted for the first time but had to step back for political reasons. We'll also examine the Nigerian situation and the country's need to push forward. Are political solutions the holy grail? How much can Nigerians survive in a working Nigeria? It's all on the HQ today. Welcome. Well, joining me to unpack it all tonight is Kola Ologbondiyan, his spokesperson, Atiku Abubakar Presidential Campaign Organization. Kola, good to see you, and thanks for your time as always. Let's quickly start by asking how the campaign is going for Nigeria's biggest opposition, the PDP.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman. Let me begin by saying that it's been a long while. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Thanks very much, Sulaiman. Sulaiman, our party, the People's Democratic Party, and our candidate, Atiku Abubakar, the Waziri Adamawa, is towering above every other candidate and every other party in this election. And I can say this clearly because our party remains and our candidate remains the only party and the only candidate that is going around Nigeria, that is talking to the people and to whom the people are responding. And as such, we have said, even if election is to be held today, the PDP and Atiku Abubakar remains the candidate and the party that is ready and that is prepared.
You know, the thing, well, as highlighted earlier on, is that your candidate is not a newbie, it's not a neophyte in the business of the campaigns and the elections. But one other sore thing here is that he's running against two familiar personalities, the APC candidate and, of course, the Labour Party presidential candidate who, in the last election, was his running mate. How do you think this will work in your party going against these two heavyweights?
Sulaiman, you know quite well that at the last count, I think this will be probably the 6th time that Atiku Abubakar is offering himself to Nigerians and saying he should be allowed to do it in the interest of our nation. And you know his candidature is very formidable. You will also agree with me that at every polling unit in the country today, Atiku Abubakar's name is no stranger. And the Nigerians already know him. And he understands the nuances and the challenges and the problems of our country. And as such, even prior to the convention, where he was elected by majority of Nigerians, cutting across the respective geopolitical zones, he had already started marketing himself and marketing the agenda that he has to offer Nigerians post ahead May 29, 2023. And as such, he's been providing realistic solutions to the challenges confronting our nation. And if you go on the streets today, if you speak to Nigerians today, Nigerians will tell you that, look, Abubakar is topmost in the rank of those who are vying to be president. You talk about other formidable candidates. I don't know any other candidate in Nigeria today that has offered himself. I'm not talking about pranking. I'm talking about totality of offering oneself to serve the nation. I think that Atiku Abubakar stands out in the array of those who are parading themselves and say they want to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, Kola, I think let's allow you put on two caps here. First, as a journalist, and second, now as a politician. You've written quite a lot of editorials in the past. And one of the key things highlighted by people like yourself is that in politics, you always get the numbers, and anything that will amount to you losing the numbers is a no-no in politics. Now, help us make sense of what's happening within the PDP and the 5 governors now known as the Integrity Group.
Thank you very much. Politics in itself is like a running water. It gives room for instability, and it also destabilizes itself, particularly in a party like the People's Democratic Party. For me, I'm giving my background the way you have already spoken about it. Until the last vote is cast, I will not say that, oh, certain people will not be part of the PDP going into the election. Because the dynamism of Nigerian politics provides abundant room for what we are currently witnessing. And also don't forget, Sulaiman, on the side of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, on the side of our governors, because they are our governors, and none of them has left the party, the People's Democratic Party. So on their own side too, they are prepared for reconciliation. I want to assure Nigerians through you that they should express less worry about what will happen in respect of the conflict that seems to be in the People's Democratic Party. This will be put behind us. We'll go into the election. Nigerians are rallying with our candidate, Atiku Abubakar. Nigerians are rallying with the People's Democratic Party and saying that the candidate that can solve the problems of our country today is Atiku Abubakar. So we'll go with that.
You know, in trying to convince the Nigerian people, perhaps more needs to be done, knowing full well that your candidate, more or less, and your party has been tested by the Nigerian people. And now asking the people to elect them again, perhaps will need more convincing. How well are you doing that in the face of what has happened, what had happened in time past before the APC came on board?
Thank you very much again, Sulaiman. The situation of our nation today is such that Nigerians themselves, the ordinary voters out there,
Well, looks like, there is a glitch in that connection to Kola. I hope as soon as the connection stabilizes, Kola will be back to speak with us. If you just joined us, this is Politics HQ here on News Central Television, broadcasting live to 54 African countries and beyond. And we're looking at the Nigeria election that is coming in February, talking about the presidential and the National Assembly elections. And two key parties that are also running in this election have both been tested by the Nigerian people: the All Progressives Congress, which is the ruling party, and the People's Democratic Party, which is the opposition. By and large, Nigerians are saying these two political parties have been tested, and for some section of the Nigerian people, they're also looking at what they have seen as the third and perhaps the fourth force. For the first time in the history of Nigeria, that ordinarily had given the semblance of a two-party state, is getting other political parties coming into the big election, specifically the Labour Party, and of course the NNPP, that is the New Nigeria People's Party. And by and large, the candidates of these political parties aren't newbies in Nigeria's political journey, as both have also been a part of the two-party system, that have been seen by Nigerians as they go into the elections. I see that Kola is back. Kola, good to know that you're back. Apologies, I think there was a glitch. We lost your connection for a bit there. You are going to tell us how this will go for your party, knowing full well that your party has been tested by the Nigerian people. How can you win back the trust that your party lost in the last 7 years or so?
Thank you. The realities of our nation today has leveraged for us the issue of going back to the people. And what I mean by this is that Nigerians have discovered that post-2015, our situation in this country, whether as individuals or collectively as a group of people, we have seen the worst form of whatever we protested in 2015, whether in the area of the economy, whether in fighting corruption, whether in improving our respective lives. We have gone from fire pan to fire as a people. So what Nigerians are saying today, Sulaiman, and I know that when you speak to your neighbors, when you speak to people around you, that is the feedback we are going to get. What Nigerians are talking about today is that if it were possible for this APC to take us back to the pre-2015 years, we have rather gone there. But since it is not possible, we have experimented the party in time past. And no matter how long a man travels in the wrong direction, the moment he discovers that he's on the wrong path, he must make a U-turn and go back to where he was coming from. So Nigerians are already aware that they have lifted the water and they have lifted the oil, and they know which is heavier. That they know that APC came on the promises of lies, of beguilement, and as such, it's like pulling a wool over a man's eyes and removing it. The reality has done. The People's Democratic Party remains the tested political party who had been in government before and whose tenure was prosperous for the ordinary Nigerians compared to the famished that we have brought ourselves into, or that we have been led into by the likes of Emilokon.
Well, the beauty of politics is that at every point in time, as you try to say, let's make it issues-based, we realize that the two big parties have sometimes, some garbage on each other's personalities. Now, let's start talking about some of the key concerns. First, let's not gloss over the 5 governors. Perhaps for those who are watching, who are still thinking that you need a definite, resolution on what this is about, knowing full well that you have about 2 months to the big day. So what can you say to the Nigerian people concerning any of the governors within the integrity group? How convincing are you that they are going to ask their followers within their states to cast their ballot for Atiku Abubakar, your candidate?
So before I go into that, let me quickly talk about the issue of garbage that you referenced. And to make it abundantly clear that Atiku Abubakar's campaign began on a note of speaking to the issues
I think it looks like we lost that connection again. I hope we'll get Kola to finalize, conclude his comment on that, specifically on the issues of the campaign on issues as against personalities, which we have seen quite, lately. Kola, I see you're back.
What I was trying to say was prior to this time, I was on various platforms where I canvassed that there's a need for us to speak to the issues as those who have been brought in by the respective gentlemen, and I mean Atiku Abubakar, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, as well as Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu of the APC. That there's a need for us, those of us who have been brought to assist in the campaign, we should focus on the issues and leave personalities out of it. But we discovered on our side that much as we try to face the issues, our opponents were deliberately attacking our candidates, and no campaign, no political party is going to allow that to run without providing the reasons why we are marketing our candidates also. But having said that, going back to the issue of the G5 governors, like I said in the beginning, Sulaiman, it is clear that both sides, although we don't have sides in our party, but for the purposes of understanding, let me say both sides, and I mean Atiku Abubakar as the presidential candidate, as well as the governors of our party, have said that, look, we are prepared for reconciliation. And both sides have said they are ready for reconciliation. And I am aware that there are interests within and outside the party who are working on this reconciliation. So what we are just waiting for is to cross the T's and dot the I's.
And let's speak more about how the spread is going for your party. On the day will be the presidential election and the National Assembly election. How is it going? We've seen your candidate go around the country, and we haven't actually seen much of the National Assembly candidates pulling their weight behind your candidate as he goes across the country. Are there things that we may not know concerning your strategy in terms of this big push for 2023?
It's not correct, absolutely incorrect to assume that the candidates of our party for the National Assembly election are not with the candidate or they are not on campaign ground. We were in Owerri 3 days ago, and in spite of all that has been proclaimed by the bookmakers, the turnout in Owerri was massive, and I must commend the maker Edoha, as well as Senator Ayahu also, for rallying their people to receive the candidate of our party. And I can clearly say to you that, as a matter of fact, the 3 senatorial candidates, they were physically present. They were on the podium. And I were able to come home and very closely to the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, had a session with the stakeholders of my own home state, Kogi State, just yesterday. And I can say to you that all the 9 House of Rep candidates, the 3 senatorial candidates, were present in the meeting. Sulaiman, you are a political reporter too. You know it as a fact that because the presidential candidate is the biggest fish in the preparation for the election, it is campaign that you are going to be seeing. The other candidates we are talking about, senatorial candidates, governorship candidates, they are running campaign in their respective states. But they might escape media focus in a manner that the big candidate and the biggest candidate in this race, Atiku Abubakar, dominates the media space because he's the one Nigerians are looking up to, and that is expected.
Now you've just mentioned your home state. Let's talk a bit of home politics in Kogi State. You can't be here without us asking questions of how the campaign is going in your state. We've seen quite a push from the PDP trying to wrest power from some of the National Assembly candidates in that state. Take us through what this has been like for your candidates. Specifically, we also understand that you have a female candidate going for senatorial for the Senate in Kogi as well.
Well, it's a very interesting dimension in Kogi State because the three candidates for the senatorial, we don't have governorship election in Kogi State, but the three candidates for the senatorial election are new, what I would call new candidates, not totally new, because for instance, Honorable TJ Yusuf has been in the House of Rep in the last 12 years, who is running in Kogi West, and Natasha has run for governorship before and is running in Kogi Central. Adoji has run for governorship and has also tried to run for Senate temper. So they are not new fights. They are not new to the political environment. It's a space that they understand. But the worry of our party is the issue of insecurity. And that's a major concern. You recall that in one of the elections that we had in the recent past, that helicopters were brought from Abuja to come and shoot at those who were on the queue on the election day. And you recall that the woman leader was killed and burnt in her home in Kogi East part of the state. So we are worried, we are concerned about the deployment of non-state actors in the electoral process. In as much as INEC is giving assurances and the security agencies are providing assurances, with these assurances, it is clear, it is very clear, just like the sunlight, that the People's Democratic Party is going to take over Kogi State.
Well, how hopeful, speaking of which, talking about security, we've seen that quite frankly, it's not been an easy ride, politically speaking, in Kogi State when it's election. Looking at the Electoral Act that is in place, don't you think that perhaps that may help stem the tide of violence, as would-be troublemakers can easily see that elections will be won and lost at the polling booth?
Yeah, I think the introduction of beavers is going to help the 2023 election in a great deal. And that's exciting for us in the People's Democratic Party, because if beavers is allowed, I'm confident that the Nigerians are not going to vote for a party that has pushed us to a situation in which inflation has gone above 21%, that has created an unemployment situation of almost 33%, in which we are having rising costs. A tin of pig meat is now selling between 350 and 500, depending on where you are buying from. And you can rice has become unaffordable, unreachable for the ordinary Nigerians going into Christmas. I'm confident that Nigerians are not going to return such a party into power. But having said that, I agree with you that the processes being put in place by INEC, they are completely, I can say clearly, that they are very, very welcome. But it now depends on the implementation and the assurances that INEC is providing. That, like, for instance, that, if you don't allow election to hold, if you introduce violence, election in that unit will not count, it will be cancelled. But my prayer and my hope for our nation is that the political actors themselves will allow this to see the light of the day.
Let's close on this, if you will. How hopeful are you? This isn't the first, second, or third time your candidate is running, and this might just be one big push that may or may not mean him getting the mandate from the Nigerian people. You've gone round, and perhaps let's speak as a colleague journalist. What do you see?
If you look around, Sulaiman, the confidence that Nigerians are building in Atiku on day-to-day basis is clearly and very clearly too strong, very, very strong. And it shows clearly that Atiku Abubakar is definitely going to win this election. If you let's take geopolitical zones. As we speak today, in the Southwest, it has become so balkanized that three major political parties are going to enter into the Southwest. And I mean the People's Democratic Party, the All Progressives Congress, and maybe the Labour Party. Then when you go to the southeast and the south-south, what are we getting? What pillars are we getting? The pillar is that is a grant for both the PDP and the Labour Party. And when we push further and come to the North Central, the North Central people are returning to the People's Democratic Party because all the promises that were made to them have failed. In the Northeast, the PDP is going to take majority, and the same thing for the Northwest. So Atiku Abubakar remains the only candidate who has a demonstrable capacity to first and foremost take the required 25% across 36 states. That one is very clear. Wherever you go to, when you listen to the people, you get that one. Then when you now talk of multiplicity of votes, it has the advantage. So as we speak today, it's very, very clear and manifestly so that Atiku Abubakar is bound to win the 2023 election. It is his time. His time has come, and he has assured Nigerians that he will run a government of national unity, in which every interest will be taken care of, I'm sorry to say. Thank you.
Kola Ologbondiyan, many thanks for speaking with us here on Politics HQ.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman.